What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Summit. I'm Antonio Perez, joined as always by Chris Coacher, CB Coach Boy. Danny, unfortunately, couldn't join us today. Had some dinner reservations. No biggie. Things like that happen. He'll, of course, be back with us on the Monday episode. But for today, last week we talked about NFC X-Factors for playoff teams. This week, we're talking AFC X-Factors for playoff teams, which is going to be even easier because the field has been even more dialed down because Jonathan Taylor decided to ruin everyone's week. So, that's what we have going on today. Of course, we have the hots and locks. While Danny isn't here, he still submitted his pick. So we'll let y'all know how we did last week, what Danny's picking, and then what me and Chris are going to go off of. But, of course, before we start anything, remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those post notifications. You don't want to miss a single upload from us. And then if you're listening to this on audio platforms, feel free to leave a like, leave a 5-star review, download the episode if you enjoyed it, follow the show. And yeah, all the stuff that's going to push the algorithm. But of course, got to get into Summits and Plummets. And Chris is actually going to tip off instead of Danny.
Damn,
because he's not here.
Damn, Danny. Damn, Daniel. But I think my first summit is congrats to Mike Vick becoming a head coach. I was happy to see that just because I think he's one of the people outside of what everybody hates him for, obviously, he's one of the people who put on for his state. And I always respect people like that. People go back home to places like, Virginia's or the Delaware's or the smaller places and really give back. I got a lot of respect for that because you can do so many other things and to choose to do that. I think that's pretty cool. So shout out to Michael Vick for that. My plummet has to do with football too. And it's more so less for me and more for my old lady. She is sad because Kirk Cousins is on his way to becoming a person filing for unemployment. And it is unfortunate because she had high hopes for Kirk Cousins, even making the Falcons her team. So that was unfortunate. But all things are fair in love and war. Michael Penix has a preseason game against the Giants. I hope he can have a tune-up for when the real season gets back together after this week.
Yeah, I saw the news. I was like, man, Miss Coulter's probably not having a great one. Not gonna lie.
So she said, "Why would they bench him?" I was like, "Well, 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions, 1-4 record." She's like, "Oh, no, it's that bad." I was like, "Yeah, it's been bad."
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Penix, especially all the stuff he's went through in his first 4 years of college. He got 2 years to really show what he was about, and it was good enough to get him drafted into the top 10. Was it deserved? I don't know about all that, but he's getting a shot against a really bad Giants team. So it's going to be great. I think they kind of dodged, they could have I thought they even could have started him against Vegas, but it was kind of like, all right, we're still too much in the mix to do that. Even though I still think starting Penix would have been the better option. He's more mobile, stronger arm at this point, really good off play action. Just got a little bit more zip in his arm at this point, and crazy considering that he's had 2 different shoulder injuries. My summit though, and I think Chris is down to agree. We're watching Penn State versus SMU. I can't think of the second game off the top of my head. I'm gonna say it's Texas. It's gonna be Texas and Clemson. But we won't be watching.
I will not be
Ohio State, Tennessee. We will be watching USC versus UConn women's basketball. Paige Beckers versus Juju Watkins, arguably the 2 best players in the country. If you could draft the entire college basketball landscape of women's basketball, those would probably be your top 2 picks in this upcoming draft. So, and they've been sold out for months. UConn has been sold out for months. This game has been hyped up since last regular season.
Yep.
So, I'm very excited. 2 of my favorite players, 2 of the best teams in the country. It's going to be a blast for sure. And then I guess if I had a plummet today, though, I don't know. More weird Eagles news. Oh, okay. No. Here's my plummet. Shea is getting torn to shreds. And, okay, I could play devil's advocate here because that's my boy, over a game that doesn't even count. Stats don't matter. The win-loss doesn't affect the win-loss column. He's had a bad night.
Mavs fans couldn't wait. They could not wait. They could not wait. And it's so unfortunate. They could not wait to have a bad game.
It's so funny that Mavericks fans like just do not enjoy him. And it's all out of fear. It's all out of fear that he is. For one, he's playing better than Luka this year, and two, even from a just overall, I don't know what to say resume. Luka's resume is ridiculous, but just consensus standings, people are starting to, see the light, I guess you could say. And Shea would have beat him in the playoffs if his coach wasn't plugging Josh Giddey in the game for 15 to 20 minutes a game. So one minute change would have won them that series, and then I would have picked them to beat the Minnesota, and then they would have probably put up the best fight possible against Boston. Nonetheless, thank you for playing Giddey, because then we didn't have to see them, and then the Mavs could take care of the Timberwolves, and then you know how it goes from there. Super light. But congrats to the Bucks. Continue. The teams that keep winning this cup, though, continue to make it mean something. While it doesn't go on the win column and your stats don't matter, make it cool that you just win $5,000 because you're playing a pickup basketball game, essentially. And,
I think it should be celebrated because any hooper will tell you, anytime money's on the line, like if we're playing for money or any wagered in real life, everybody plays as hard as they possibly can. And this isn't just like $40, $1,000. It's $500,000. So even if you're hella rich, that $500,000 still means something to you, whether it's give it to charity or whether it's do something. It means something. So I feel like people should really put some respect on just the prize. And I think as money grows, I think the money will grow in the prize too. I will say that.
And the best part about this all is that Darvin Ham is undefeated in the NBA Cup tournament. A solid 14-0. Taurean Prince has brought home $1 million in NBA Cup earnings.
That is actually probably the most impressive. That is probably the most impressive.
Look at those two, man. Taurean Prince got $1,000 for riding coattails. Darvin Ham got, he got a 14-0 record riding coattails.
It's ugly out here, man.
Ugly days. On every single episode, you will see me wearing some kind of hat, whether it's a snapback, whether it's a dad style hat. I always got to have something to complete the outfit. And the only place where I get my hats is lids.com. Lids.com has so many different brands, and of course they have a bunch of different styles. Like I just said, it could be dad hat, snapback, it could be fitted, it could be Velcro back. Whatever you want, they got it. And with the NFL season coming up, I know you're going to want to rock and represent your favorite squad. Me personally, I'm a big Eagles guy, and I love this 47 brand throwback hat that I got from lids.com. Or if you're more of a snapback guy, I also got this NBA champions Boston Celtics new era cap from lids.com as well. If you like either of those hats and you feel like you want one to represent your squad, click the link in the description below. Whether it's new era or 47, both links will take you right to lids.com. And the best thing about Lids, they always have some type of deal going on their website. So make sure you click that link and check out any deals they got going on at lids.com. As Ham would say himself, salute, of course. But
keep going hard on them.
Go hard on them dudes, man. Salute. But let's get into some football here. So we're going to be talking about the AFC playoff teams, all of their X-Factors. And we're only doing teams, I'm going to be honest, we're only doing teams that are currently in the race. The Colts absolutely ruined everything for themselves. Dolphins lost. Bengals have a long shot. We're going to really be talking about the 7 teams, which are going to be Chiefs, Bills, Steelers, Texans, Ravens, Broncos, Chargers. And just like last time, we're going to start from the top down. So it will be Chiefs first because that's how the standings sit currently. I have a weird one for the Chiefs. Chris, who's going to be the X factor for the Chiefs in the playoffs?
I think it's going to be Isaiah Pacheco. That's my
I like that.
X factor, only for the simple fact that I think as we talked about in all of these, the running game is going to be important for whatever team we're talking about for the most part, being able to help control the game. And I think you spoke to this last week. How the Chiefs have been playing this year has been very different, and there's been a lot of ball control, having it on their side for longer, time of possession really being on their side. And I think just to protect Mahomes, not that you need to, but just with them having a little ankle roll, big ankle roll, you never know with Mahomes, but just having that back you can lean on, and having Kareem Hunt to back him up, I think that's going to be most important. So if Pacheco can round into form, I think it's going to be ugly for everybody. So I think that's why it's my X factor.
Yeah, no, I think that, and I think that's a good one because kind of with my X factor, I mentioned the point that this team is nearly as successful running the ball as passing it. And when you have a Patrick Mahomes team, that's not usually the thing. It's usually we're just gonna kill you through the air. Our run game will be whatever. But yeah, I like Pacheco. When he's been healthy, he's helped control the time of possession, the little dink and dunks. Of course, with him out, it takes a little bit of a hit, but I think when he gets back in there, it'll do big numbers. You know the tweet where it's like, I became important at my job and it's ruining my life. Not the same energy, not the same exact energy, but my X factor is Hollywood Brown. He hasn't even played a game yet. He's going to like spawn in the playoffs. I'm like, dude, you are going to decide if they're winning the Super Bowl or not. Your ability to create separation, your ability to stretch the field, if not, you're going to catch the ball, is going to decide whether the Kansas City Chiefs are going to three-peat. Because if you don't, I don't think they'll beat the Bills. I think the Steelers will have a real shot at them. The Ravens will have a real shot at them. The Chargers have played them hard twice. Wouldn't count the Broncos out. Almost beat them this year again. So I think if Hollywood can add another dimension, while DeAndre Hopkins he's a fine separator at his age. If Hollywood can take the top off the defense, if he can start winning his reps one-on-one, I think Mahomes will take advantage of that entirely. I wanted to say, no pun intended, I wanted to say Xavier Worthy, but at this point, it's kind of like he's so gadgety. So I wasn't exactly sure, but Hollywood Brown would walk in and probably be the wide receiver 1 immediately, if not the wide receiver 1B to this form of DeAndre Hopkins. And then as long as everybody else does their thing, I think they're going for a three-peat. But we can move on to the next team, which will be the Buffalo Bills. So the Bills, for me, I had their secondary specifically. And it's more so accounted towards health. Just a lot of guys are hurt. Since week 8, they're 29th in dropback EPA. They're 25th in sack rate. But since week 12, they're actually 8th in the NFL in sack rate. So they're starting to figure out something a little bit up front with this defensive side of the ball. The secondary, in my opinion, I just think it has to get healthy, and then Sean McDermott will figure it out from there. And I wasn't going to really say any receivers because after what I just saw in these last 2 games from the Bills, it's like Josh Allen's going to make do with anything. Which is good because for a long time, it was like he had Stephon Diggs. And it's like, oh, well, look at his numbers before Diggs. I was like, I thought he kind of outgrew that already. So it's good to see him proving himself with, I want to say nobodies, but a below average wide receiver room. That would still be like the best Lamar has ever had up to like 2 years ago. But yeah, I get. We can swing it to you though. What's going to be the X factor for the Buffalo Bills to get over the hump?
Man, it's tough. I was in between
the Chiefs.
I was in between two different X factors. So I'll go with the one I'm going to go with. I'll say the backfield, right? I love James Cook. It sucks that I went with backfield 2 times in a row, but I love James Cook. But I also like the backups they have. Ray Davis, like they always bring like a spark whenever they get it. I think that has to continue for them, on the simple fact that Josh Allen's receiving core is kind of underwhelming compared to some others for this year, especially. I think having that run game and having the dink and dunks out the backfield, being able to do those short screen passes or those short, just flat passes to the running back, I think that will help a lot in the playoffs to keep a lot of pressure off of Josh Allen and also allow him to be Superman only when he needs to, not from the first quarter, on. So I'd say the backfield, just that group is my X factor. The other one I was going to say, and it's funny that you said like the opposite, I was going to say Amari Cooper because I think Amari Cooper has not been the addition that maybe some of us may have thought. For the Bills so far, whether that be just output, him on the field, creating mismatches, whatever the case may be, I don't think he's been there yet. So I'd say him as well. If he can, I won't say become prime Amari Cooper, but if he can demand some of the respect that he's demanded over his career, I think that will open it up even more for that offense.
Yeah, I really like the backfield one because I'm kind of looking through James Cook's looking through his game log. Last year, I don't know if anybody remembers, but like during December, he went on a tear
Oh,
and
he went off.
essentially took the Bills to the playoffs by himself. And his biggest games this year are like the biggest games you can like put to memory.
Mm.
Um, he had 78 yards, 2 touchdowns against Miami. That's a game where they absolutely throttled Miami, but everyone forgets because Tua got another concussion. He had 17 carries, 111 yards against Seattle. Absolutely took over that game. 2 touchdowns in there as well. And then the San Francisco game where he had 14 carries for 107 yards. And then this past game where he had 14 carries, 105 yards. The whole offense was clicking that day. So, but you have a lot of stinkers in here. You have six carries, 20 yards, 9 carries, 20 yards, 10 carries, 44 yards, 12 carries, 32 yards. There are teams that kind of, game plan around him. He's capable of a stinker, per se, but I believe, like you said, in all of these games, the Bills were lighting up the scoreboard, and they didn't crush the Lions. I don't want to say that, but they were crushing their opponents. And the way the fourth quarter worked out, it didn't look like they handled the Lions. They had their number all day. So him being able to compliment Josh Allen is going to be a big one. He actually had 3 touchdowns against Detroit. Oh no,
2
that was
rushing, 1 receiver, right? Oh, 2 point
um,
conversion.
no, yeah, I'm imagining things. But yeah, so I really like that. I like that one for the Bills. And then Amari Cooper, that is I don't want to say like it's wrong because this is a guy we brought in. He's going to be our wide receiver one. He should clearly, at least at this point, be better than Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and all these guys. Except they just won an absolute shootout and he wasn't even targeted. So it's like, okay, they're capable of winning a shootout without him. So this could be the type of X factor is if he brings his A game to the table, what's their ceiling? If if James Cook is on fire and Josh Allen is doing those things that only he is capable of, and Amari Cooper is getting, give me 5 catches, 70 yards, 5 catches, 60 yards, you're absolutely, you're in the spot that you want to be if you're the Bills. So I like those two from you. The next one is the Steelers. The Steelers, haven't seen them play some serious offense in the past couple of weeks. I started with the last one. You can go with this one. What is Pittsburgh's X factor to making a dark horse run to the Super Bowl?
It's a couple of things. But I will say, I think the most important thing for the Steelers is George Pickens' mental state. Now, I'll say that because I think Russell Wilson has unlocked George Pickens when he's been there, as far as down the field, making plays, keeping him happy, all those things. I think without Pickens locked in and playing well, I don't think the Steelers are going to be much of a threat to anybody. I think he's the biggest X factor on the team because it's kind of like, what you're going to get from the defense. You kind of can know what you're going to get from the run game within Warren and Harris. You know what you're going to get from Russell Wilson. I think he's the biggest wild card in the sense you just don't know what he's going to be on that game. Like you don't know if he's going to be trying to fight, trying to lock in and play. You just don't know. And I'm not trying to make it like he's a bad guy because I don't think he is, but I think just how locked in he is to the game plan, to everything that their focus, their goal. I think that's the most important thing. So I would say George Pickens' focus. If I had to choose one thing, I would say George Pickens' focus.
Yeah, and that's no troll. Like there is legit, the shenanigans, NFL young boy stuff aside. Like there are plays where he's just not engaged. If he's not getting the ball, if he's not running the routes that he wants, he legit gets disengaged. But luckily, there hasn't really been all that much since Russell Wilson has taken over. And that's where my X factor kind of comes in. Russell Wilson is the most reliant quarterback on the deep ball in the NFL. A lot of his yardage is coming on those deep sideline shots to Pickens, to Mike Williams. So in a sense, yeah, I kind of agree with you. It is kind of up to Pickens because let's bring up some numbers. It's a fine passing game in general. They're about 14th in the NFL in EPA per play. Without Pickens, which has been their last 2 weeks, they dropped to 23rd. I'll give them a a pass because one of those games was against Philadelphia. I don't even think George Pickens would have changed the outcome of that game, considering that he mostly lines up on the left. Quinion Mitchell's over there. You can do the math. But I do agree though. I think Pickens in what is a run first offense with not a lot of great separators at the receiver position. I can't say Calvin Austin is going to be the X factor because it's kind of like he's so inconsistent. Putting that responsibility on him would just be like you're setting like what are you even expecting at this rate? So I like the Pickens one for sure. And even outside of the deep threat stuff from Pickens, he's so good. He's the only receiver that I truly trust to gain separation running all routes in the tree. I can trust him to, get open on a slant, ins, out, digs, post. He can be a vertical threat. He can win jump balls. He's a good all around receiver. So that's going to kind of be needed, especially with a quarterback like Russ that only wants to go short or go extra long. He doesn't really like that middle of the field. Pickens is like, fine, that's not really my game either. So I like that one. Next we have is the Houston Texans. And I wanted to before we pick on this one, I thought it was really funny. I'm listening to a show and they're talking about it was Stay Hot. I was listening to Stay Hot podcast and they're talking about what is the difference between how we treat the Rams and how we treat the Texans. Because these are two teams where it's still the relatively like the same teams from the year before because the Texans, Diggs got hurt. While the Texans defense is much better, just thinking offensively, you have Stroud, Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, and then the Rams got Stafford, Puka, Cooper Kupp, a fine offensive line, Kyron Williams, and it's like, okay, so they're both sitting around 9-5, 8-6, but the Rams, because we had no expectation for them, it makes it seem like, oh, they could get hot. You don't want to see them. Whereas Houston, it's like they underperform so much. It's kind of just like, oh, you want them round one. And I'll admit I'm a victim to that as well. I kind of didn't think about it that way. So I was maybe that just brought me back to reality a little bit. Maybe I'm a little too harsh on Houston. Do I think they're going to beat Baltimore in 2 weeks? Absolutely not. But maybe I just wanted to point that out. A little too harsh on them. Who do you think is the X factor for them, though?
It's a couple ways I think you can go with it. I'll say D'Amico Ryans. And the reason I say D'Amico Ryans, I think a lot of people have talked about Stroud's regression. I don't think it's real regression. It's just this is the next year. We've seen you a little bit, so now we're better prepared for you. I think a little bit goes on coaching. I'm not blaming D'Amico Ryans for that at all. And I think him being more creative or the offensive coordinator being more creative would help a lot of that. Yes, you have to cover up for a big acquisition like Diggs being out, but I think a lot of that's going to be covered up by creativity. Maybe you throw the Mixon more. Maybe you involve Mechie more. You just do more things. I feel like they've been predictable to the defense that they've been facing. So I'd say creativity as a whole is the X factor for the Texans. I think their defense has been solid all year, been better than sometimes, better than it is sometimes, but I think creativity is going to be the biggest thing. So maybe not even D'Amico Ryans. I just say creativity across the board is the X factor for the Texans.
Yeah, and I'm kind of up the same alley. My specific X factor is going to be Bobby Slowick, who has become who was once the head honcho in all the coaching interviews. Everybody was after him, but then the hype died down a little bit, and they need to come back as a coordinator again. He's become one of the most predictable offensive coordinators in the league. Run, pass, like sequence, leads the league in it, despite your run game being absolutely horrible. And you have a Pro Bowl quarterback, you have a top 5 receiver, you have Tank Dell, who's a really good young receiver as well, a tight end who's very athletic, likes to get downfield. You have these things, but you still choose to run the ball so often, which I don't understand because you are one of the worst teams in the NFL at running the ball. even as a whole, and with these numbers, 21st in EPA, 20th in dropback EPA, 28th in rush. Now, the dropback number is low, but I think that's because you are running the ball so unbelievably much. You're having limited snaps for what you can do. You're setting yourself up third and long every single time. What do you want Stroud to do behind that absolute liability of a line? And again, it kind of goes to like film. We know what you're about. Nico Collins, you're not about to sneak up on us anymore. Mind you, Nico Collins is going to do what he wants to do because he's that level of player. But that's kind of where I'm at with the Texans. We're kind of in agreement. Like we need some more offensive creativity, less running the ball. Please just let Stroud start to air this thing out. Let him work what he wants. He's a Joe Burrow type archetype, a Geno Smith, where he likes to, let's get in my drop, let's get this ball out. He can create a little bit, but I like to see them draw up some concepts or go to the concepts that work year one, even if they are filmed on. Like, there's not a lot of route concepts that guys just haven't seen at this point, but still, get creative, get the middle of the field available for him again, RPO stuff, all types of things. So I'm in agreement there. So those are our division leaders at the moment, not our division winners. And mainly because this next team we're about to talk about will have something to say about the Steelers in this upcoming week. Baltimore Ravens. I'm interested to hear your X factor for the team.
It's gonna be funny because knowing me and knowing how I've been on the show is gonna be hilarious. The X factor is Lamar Jackson, and it's not just Lamar Jackson. It's not just 8. It's not just 2-time MVP. It's not that. It's Lamar Jackson's roots. That's going to be the X factor for the Ravens team to be special, like they can be. To make the addition of Derrick Henry as scary as it can be, it's up to Lamar being how special he is, right? That's not taken away from your like. Yes, bro, we know you can be a quarterback. We know that. We know you're quarterbacky enough. We know it. But bro, be special again. And I think that is what the X factor is. That's what will make Baltimore difficult to deal with. Him being in the backfield, creating, doing what he wants to do, being Houdini, as Mike Breen said. I mean, being Houdini. That's what we need. I'm not trying to be a homer here, but in this sense, that's the X factor. You could put on the defense. You could say the defense is the X factor because I would agree with that too. You can even throw it on Justin Tucker. But Justin Tucker is even in those situations if Lamar is as special as he can be. I've seen it. So in that thing, I think it's Lamar being special and not and taking the criticism that he's gotten, not letting it influence his play, but going against it and doing what he does best, being special. So I say Lamar Jackson getting back to his roots is the X factor for the Ravens.
Yeah, and I like that one because usually you don't pick the best player as the X factor. And I love.
And the reason I say so let me tell you. So the reason I say that, even as the best player, the reason it's the X factor for me, him not being his special self brings him to be a regular quarterback, in my opinion. And it takes away from the extraterrestrial ability that he really has. It takes away from the wow factor of Lamar Jackson. So I think if he goes and just tries to stay in the pocket, only run when I absolutely have to, it kind of takes away from that threat of him just beating you down. So I think that's a big part of why too.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, what I was going to say is I don't want to grill him this hard. But what I was really going to say was he's the best player on the team. And usually you don't pick the X factors, best player on the team. But these are playoff X factors. When he gets to the playoffs, he is not the best player on his team. And that's not even trying to kill him crazy or anything. It's true. Like we've watched it. He had a fine game or a fine second half against the Texans. He had a great opening drive against the Chiefs. And maybe it's not all on him because they went away from the run and it really set him up for obvious pass situations where there aren't a lot of quarterbacks who are going to succeed in obvious pass situations to go along with what you said, a guy who is otherworldly when it comes to his rushing ability, but will only use it at his absolute, break the glass open type of moment. I like that for him. Absolutely. Because it's very, it's important that he does that. There's a lot of mobile quarterbacks who I feel like get away from the mobile aspect of their game in hopes of proving I'm this real good pocket guy. I thought Jalen Hurts kind of did that a little bit. Still does it every now and then. Really tries to hang in there, but we're starting to get back to him running. I want to see Lamar Jackson do the same. But I'm not going to pick on Lamar as much as I do like the pick. I really think it comes down to the Ravens' pass defense in general. So it's not necessarily all in the secondary, and it's not necessarily all in the pass rush, but it is a little bit of both. Because there are games where just pressure is not real. The pressure isn't real. However, as of late, especially the last 3 games, they're really picking up the sack rate. So there's a little something there. And then, of course, you have the players in the secondary, and Nate Wiggins is only getting better each game. So I'm really happy about him. Marlon Humphrey. It's funny. Nate Wiggins and Marlon Humphrey are a little bit like Quinion Mitchell and Darius Slay, where you have the much older guy, then you have the young guy. And the young guys kind of outperforming them very fast, and the older guys left to play some catch up. But I think Kyle Hamilton, not Eddie Jackson, according to Chris, he will not be making a playoff. See, we really are the same team. We got the lockdown rookie corner, the old head other corner who's still doing his thing.
Y'all got Cooper DeJean. I mean, wait, y'all got Reed Blankenship. We got our Darius Washington.
See?
We love that.
Not to compare Gardner Johnson to Kyle Hamilton, because Kyle Hamilton is an entire different beast, but a safety that we like to bring down to play in the box. He can play a little bit of slot corner as well. And then you guys signed the washed Eddie Jackson.
Sure did.
Did you know we still have James Bradbury?
Good thing, no, because I don't see him play much.
In late July, he had a injury that was going to hold him out 6 to 8 weeks. So relatively should have been good for the start of the year. I haven't seen the dude since. The first time I've seen him was in Sidney Brown's YouTube vlog. He was in the background. I was like, wait. I was like, oh.
He's on the team.
He's still hanging around making his bread. It's like, you know what? You're going to make your bread, but you're not going to ruin my day. Just sit over there.
And also, too, don't forget,
really the same team.
Marcus Williams sighting might be out there. We're in trouble. I was going to say the defense, too, but I think it's such a good one. I think Lamar is a good one, too, because just in the sense, it's like, bro.
Who would ever thought Ravens defense
would be
to step it up? It's unreal. It's so crazy, I think both of these are weird because it's like 2-time MVP, might be 3-time MVP. Yes, you need to step up.
You need to step up, yeah.
So, but it's true. It's not like these are just like, oh, bonehead takes. It's like, oh, yeah, no shit. Like, it's not a given that Lamar is going to show up at the playoffs. It's not a given that this defense is going to show up at the playoffs. Hasn't been a given every single Sunday that this defense is going to show up. So, I like both of them. Definitely need Monken to, feed Henry. It'll make everything a lot easier.
And Ty was in the field today. I was seeing him practice. Ty was in the field, making sure they weren't dropping handoffs, dropping passes. Todd, you all right with me?
Todd's another guy that kind of lost out on a head coaching job, kind of like Slowick, is because they kind of just went out bad. They went out in a way that they shouldn't have, and it might have stirred teams away. And then on top of that, the number one candidate on the market, Ben Johnson, was like, no, I'm staying. I don't see a job I like. I'm just staying, which could have been a little bit of the case for them as well. And Todd Monken has only helped his case. This offense is amazing. Even with the injuries on the line and all the switching around you got to do, and Rashad Bateman every other week trying to figure out if he wants to break out or not. So yeah, I do like those. You know what's funny? I bet if we ran this same segment for the past 1, 2, 3, 4 since Lamar Jackson was drafted, we would say the wide receivers every single time. Yep. But it's gotten to a point. This is a respectable room. Zay Flowers, he's liable to go off every single Sunday. Rashad Bateman could do it. We just saw him do it. Of course, you have Andrews.
No likely sightings in the last couple of weeks. I know it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, he was pretty big in the playoffs last year. I think that they should try to implement more packages of him coming up. Yes. It's just the wide receiver 3 is not strong at all. It really isn't. And again, tying back to why the Eagles and the Ravens are really the same football team. The Eagles have probably the worst wide receiver 3 situation in the NFL.
But
But
top
it's
three,
fine because the two guys ahead of him
top two.
are
Yeah.
AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. The reason why it's a bigger issue in Baltimore is it's Zay Flowers, who was a good wide receiver 1. Rashad Bateman has proven he's a good wide receiver 2. And you have an elite tight end as well. So they can kind of mask it, but you have Houdini at quarterback and King Henry. So all is well in Baltimore, I promise. Moving on to this next team, the 6th seeded Denver Broncos. 9-5. 9-5 Denver Broncos. They win an ugly. The score might not indicate it, but they won an ugly one against Indianapolis this past Sunday, and they've just been hot. My X factor for them is Sean Payton, not Bo Nix, because wide receivers are very reliant on their quarterbacks, and then the quarterbacks kind of just like they have, I would say, probably the most independence of any position, which they're so independent it makes it hard because you have to provide for everyone else. You are the parent, or you could say, but not Nix. No, it kind of just goes to what's the game plan Sean Payton's drawing up. What protections are we giving this guy? What are the route concepts? Are we going deep down the sideline? Are we just gonna do the small stuff over the middle? That will kind of make or break it. So on the year, Bo Nix is 26 in EPA plus completion percentage over percentage, like combined formula. But 8 through 14, those were his main offensive rookie of the year hype weeks where he really started to turn it on and was putting up some really good numbers. He was 7th. So I think in those weeks, Sean Payton did a great job of getting him short stuff so that he can snap, set his feet, let it go. He was doing a good job of play action, mini boots, all these things to get him into a separated area or to alter the defense, whether it's from the alter the defense, rush, like relocating the pocket or getting linebackers to move up, getting safeties to bite. And then you have, Cortland Sutton running all the way downfield for a touchdown or whatever it may be. But I think if Sean Payton can call up a good game, I no reason why I don't think the Broncos can't maybe get a playoff win. But then again, drawing up a perfect game plan for a mistake-prone quarterback, or let me not say, not a perfect quarterback in his first playoff start is going to be difficult. But that's what I have to say about that.
Get behind that. I'd say the X factor for the Broncos is secondary because it's been so good. I think that's why it's so important as far as X factors go. Like, will they be tested for real on the Broncos playoff run? Like, if they go in there, are they going to test them because they've been so good, or are they going to really go at them? Like, I think that's going to be the biggest deal, how they hold up, because I think as good as Bo Nix has been, I think the Broncos offense is still, just up in the air-ish.
It's a fine offense.
Yeah, it's decent. Yeah. So I think them being able to stop big plays, limiting teams to 20 and under, I think a lot of that's going to be on that secondary. So I think them continuing to play as good as they've been, as connected as they've been, I think that's probably the best word I can use for this secondary. Because even though you don't know some of the names, and one of the names is Pat Surtain's son, who might even be better than Pat, his dad, after it's all said and done, the other guys you might not have known. And so I think their connectivity and just how good they've been, I think that's going to be the biggest X factor for the Broncos going into the later months.
Yeah, and I think most importantly, actually, I'm going to look up real quick. I just want to look at Riley Moss's injury update. Take me right to the source, because Pat Surtain is the best corner in football, and he leads that secondary. Had some real defensive player of the year juice, but when you're a corner, you need the picks and the touchdowns. And they don't even throw at this dude. The other that side of the field does not exist because Pat Surtain takes it out the game. Yeah, it looks like he was been ruled out after being limited at practice this week
Oh, man.
So not impossible, but Riley Moss making his way back is going to really solidify what is already a good secondary. But having Levi Wallace over there and having him getting torn up by Jerry Jeudy wasn't good.
Boy,
So,
oh boy.
I think when Moss comes back, Cooper DeJean's long lost twin, both the Iowa white boys, that'll really help solidify the secondary. I do like that one because, the pass rush is doing their thing.
Yeah.
Secondary is obviously doing good all year. Denver's Sean Payton teams, while Sean Payton is a quarterback guru, his team's going to know how to play some defense. But do not look up the 2012 through 2016 New Orleans Saints.
They only played offense. That's the only thing that mattered.
They didn't even play defense. They didn't do it. It's not even that they were bad. They didn't do it. They let up like 5,000 yards of offense. That was so ridiculous. And mind you, I think Drew Brees had like 45 touchdowns in one of those years. Don't hold me to that. But Drew Brees was like walking. At prime years of Drew Brees, they're just tossing him into a river. It's so sad. It's basically what they're doing to Joe Burrow right now with how bad that defense is. But they're making up for it. They gave him Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Stop being so greedy, Joe Burrow. Speaking of Joe Burrow and the Saints picked up Clyde Edwards-Helaire. One thing the Saints are going to do is pick up their LSU boys.
They sure are.
If they're washed.
And I respect it.
Never when they're good.
I respect it, and I appreciate it. Give them a job on the way out. Leonard Fournette, he thanks you.
Yeah, you got that. You got Jarvis Landry.
I forgot Jarvis.
Odell's a free agent. Give him a shot. I think he'll like Rattler.
I can smell it. I can smell it, bro. I think.
Give him a job when Joe Burrow's about to kick the bucket and the arm shot. Come on, man. Let him slide down.
He'll be better than David Carr, for a fact. Whatever. If Joe Burrow has only his left arm, he'll be better than David Carr. Derek Carr.
Yeah, that's what I was just telling my boy. It's just like next year. So kind of like the Jalen Hurts thing, where it's just like, okay, we're gonna ship off Carson Wentz. Jalen, you got a 1-year audition to show us why you're a franchise quarterback. Do it next year. Cut Carr, or send him off if some bad team wants him. Give Spencer an entire year to play, because Spence is about to play again, but he's going to be in his fourth start. Will be playing his fourth playoff team. That's ridiculous for him, for an undersized quarterback. But what I saw from him last game was incredible. So I'm really excited. That's everyone knows that's one of my favorite players. But moving on to our final team is. Again, another team you probably wouldn't expect at this point in the season, or maybe you wouldn't expect before the season, is the Los Angeles Chargers, who are very remnant of those older Lamar teams where it's a hell of a defense. We got a great run game, and then you see Quentin Johnston is running your routes. So then you're like, oh, I gotta peel back on the Super Bowl thoughts a little bit. Maybe it's not entirely over. Maybe Ladd McConkey absolutely turns on the Cooper Kupp mode that he's been doing as of late, and him and Herbert play buddy ball to win the Super Bowl. But what do you think I don't know what else could be the X factor for this team. It's the only spot that I think is a legit weakness.
But I think so. I don't think this is a weakness, and I agree with you on your take. So I want to go with that one too. So I agree with that. Dude, I think it's the backfield. In the sense of you lost JK. That was big.
It's over.
And I think that's the biggest deal, because Gus is good in short yardage. Anybody who's been a Ravens fan in the last couple of years, you know that for a fact.
He took like 10 of Lamar's touchdowns.
Bro, he is a tush push. Him. Just Gus Edwards himself, he is. So when it gets close, cool. But just the intermediate. And we know how much Jim Harbaugh loves to run the ball. We know that. So that backfield being able to hold up to what Jim Harbaugh wants them to do and how he wants to dictate the game, and how it kind of, I don't even say the word take pressure off Justin Herbert, but how it lets Herbert kind of get into the game, not have to be incredible off rip. I think that's the biggest thing, because like you said, his receivers aren't crazy outside of Ladd. So I think having that run game be as dominant as it was those first couple games of the season, like when JK was putting up crazy numbers, I think that's going to be a big deal. How effective the run game is going to be during this run. I think that's probably the most important for me outside of the receiver.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jim Harbaugh football teams are going to play defense and they're going to run the ball. So I would say Dobbins and Edwards' health are going to be priority. Like one, split the carries. JK's been better, but still, you want to maintain these guys, especially at this point in the season. But my X factor, I have no crazy advanced analytics. I don't have a single stat written down, I have Quentin Johnson and Joshua Palmer. You guys are the two next guys after Ladd McConkey. I have no worries about Ladd McConkey. I think he's already one of the best receivers in the NFL. Just 14 games, 15 games into his NFL career. The only thing holding him back is health. But he's an absolute route technician. He gets open, incredible hands, good enough yak ability. Like one could argue he's been the best rookie wide receiver this year. I'd probably say it's been Brian Thomas Jr. because he's nuts. Ladd McConkey's right there, though. Now you look at Joshua Palmer and Quentin Johnson. It has been Joshua Palmer season for so long. We're like, he's going to be the wide receiver 3. He's going to come through, and it's just never happened.
He's on a Bateman arc with me.
It could be. It could be.
You're never really wrong. Just early, like you said. Never wrong, just early.
And Quentin Johnston, I've never seen someone so unbelievably athletic and so unbelievably uncoordinated.
He has no hands, bro. He has zero hands. But he's so athletic, like you said. He gets open.
He's so athletic. He gets so open that Herbert doesn't even have to throw him jump balls. It is a matter of the ball leaving my hand, and you just gotta secure it. There have been points where he's done that this year, though, and those were the games where the Bengals game. Quentin Johnson is catching the ball upfield, so they are lighting the Bengals up, and then suddenly he can't create separation. And Herbert's trying to force these passes, and now here comes the Bengals all the way back. So I think if Harbaugh, if Greg Roman can find a way to get Johnson the ball in space or get him downfield, hopefully, to go along with under routes to create one-on-one opportunity where he's just going to use the burners, that would be great. And then Josh Palmer, I just need you to play better football. I just need you to get open. Your hands aren't the best either, but you're a lot more reliable of a catcher than Johnson, I'd say. So, it's just a matter of those two stepping up, and then Uncle Will Dissly. Hey, if he can provide anything, that'd be cool, but I expect nothing from Will Dissly. And I think a ever so slightly small one I wanted to mention, because I just said Greg Roman, is Herbert's legs. Because Herbert will get a design. I hate it. He'll get a design run every now and then, but his scrambling ability and his way of getting out the pocket has really started to grow. And it's funny because every time he does it, because of who his offensive coordinator is and because of the guys he is a backfield, it's like, that's his best Lamar Jackson impression, because Greg Roman's kind of just like, yeah, you're turning into Lamar. You're turning into the 4.2 40 quarterback, the only one that's ever existed. Yeah, you're going to do that, Mr. Herbert. And I'm going to be honest, the type of guy he is, he was like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's do it. But he's done a great job running the ball. He is a really good athlete at the quarterback position. I'm going to be honest, probably maybe a top 5 athletic quarterback behind like Lamar, Allen, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels,
Anthony Richardson out there,
and Anthony Richardson. So he's just outside of that. But to go on top of that, unlike Anthony Richardson, he can throw the ball. I'm not out on Richardson. It ain't over, but
I'll be there next year. Don't worry. I'm big on Anthony Richardson. I gotta stay beside.
Look, we're gonna find it out. All right, he's young. We're gonna figure it out. Unlike Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert is a lot more anticipatory with his passes. He throws, he's not to say Jalen isn't accurate. He's actually a career high 69% completion percentage, which is crazy. I hope he can get up to 70 by the end of the year. But and then Jaden Daniels just doesn't have the frame that Herbert does, nor does he have the arm. But shout out Jaden Daniels, probably going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But yeah, that's another one I wanted to mention. And that is pretty much all we have for the X-Factors. So we can go to Hots and Locks. And again, while Danny's not here, we're going to give him the first pick since I told him to send me them. But I will tell y'all how we did last week. I went 2 for 2. I said the Bills would beat, or they would upset the Lions. They did, and the Ravens were in the easiest lock of the year against the Giants. Danny went 1 for 2. He had the Dolphins taking down the Texans. a Tua must-win game. Come on, you must have knew what was on the way. And then he had the Commanders in a lock over the Saints, which was a nail biter. Was almost upset, but didn't happen. Chris goes over to the Pats. Could not end the Cardinal season, and the Panthers were not a lock, despite being favored against the Cowboys. The Cowboys did kind of run their pockets. As for this week, Danny is going with the Texans over the Chiefs, and then his lock is the Rams over the Jets. Which I like those both. And then Chris, you can get the next two picks off the board.
Okay. This is gonna be tough. I'm sorry, Tom. No, I'm kidding. It's not. No, I'm sorry. I'm kidding.
Just looking though, real quick. The Ravens are 6-point favorites.
Yeah, I'm not touching that.
Against the Steelers.
I'm not touching that. Nope. I'll let God and everybody else decide it. I'm not touching that.
It's in God's hands out. All I can do is accept this.
All I can do is accept whatever happens, bro. I swear. My hot though. This might be crazy. Lock in. I'm tired of the hate. I'm tired of people only watching bad plays and saying he has not had a good year. He hasn't been what people thought he was going to be. He hasn't been Wimby out the gate. He actually has. Wimby was in summer league and said, "Quote: I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm out here just trying to figure it out."
I really didn't know what I was doing.
I really didn't know what I was doing, and that's okay. He figured it out.
Dude,
the hot.
He's a treasure, dude. He really is.
Because he was dead serious, bro. He was literally not.
He's dead serious all the time. What were they? They were doing the skills competition, and then like he was with Cade and Ant, I think, and Ant was like messing around. He was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, that's, bro. Because he was.
He's hilarious,
bro. So my hot, as y'all can tell, is Bears over Lions. I think it's a Caleb game. I think he comes out and I think he shows up. I think he does. I have faith in this kid. I think I see the talent. I see through all the bad plays. I see even the plays he's extending. Your average quarterback can't do that. He just can't. Like, yes, he jumped over air, but maybe he pre-jumped.
No, because I know the vision. I know the vision. I understand why he did it. Why he jumped for no reason.
That's what I'm saying.
Tackle. I know he had to shift his body. I get why he did it.
He swung his body
to the side. Yeah, like you get it.
So that's my hot. I'm going with that.
It just sucks with Caleb because even me, like I hyped this up. Oh my God, he has DJ Moore, maybe an older Keenan Allen, but that's a fine wide receiver theory. Then you got Rome Odunze, who I thought was the second best receiver in the class. I knew the offensive line had problems, but I thought, these receivers are going to be so fine, like you're not going to worry about it. But these receivers, DJ Moore is fine. He just hasn't been that good downfield this year. He's good with getting the ball in his hands on screens, end around the short stuff. He's been fine. Rome Odunze, I guess when Caleb force feeds him, has the big games, but he hasn't necessarily been great. Keenan Allen is doing what he can out there, poor guy. But what was once the best situation that a rookie quarterback has ever walked into is now it's like, look, it's not that good of a situation. But if you try to backpedal on it, it's like, oh, you're making excuses for the kid. I'm like, I can openly say I've been disappointed with him while saying his team needs to be better.
Mainly the same things they needed to work on. Mainly the same they need to work on before they got him. The trenches on both sides. It's the same problem.
And they're going to work on it. I trust Ryan Poles to work on it.
Agreed.
I know he's super polarizing, but I think he recognizes he is what I still think is a generational quarterback. We'll figure it out.
I still agree too.
You still have the lock. Sorry, I just wanted to say that about Caleb.
No, I'm with you. My lock. I don't want to mess up your team, but I think y'all gonna win that game. But I will say my lock. Sorry, Ryan Clark. Jets over Rams.
Jets. You're going locking Jets over Rams?
Yeah, because it's just that random type of game. It's the game. Aaron Rodgers was talking about people getting vaxxed. He was mad on Pat McAfee. The Rams need to win this game. You know what I'm looking for? Absolute cinema. That's what I want.
My lock is going to be the 14-point favored Bills over the Patriots. That seems pretty easy. And if I had to go with a hot this week, my other lock would have been Falcons over Giants, getting Penix his first win in a start, but I'm not going to do that to the Rook. I'm not going to jinx him crazy. You know what? I've been kind of scared to go against this team all year. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick Seattle to beat Minnesota. Yeah. Seattle's at home. They're home dogs. I'm going to pick them to beat Minnesota. And that will Minnesota is 12-2. There's a world where they're
Never
like
saw it.
14-3, 15-2. They don't even get a home playoff game. Insane. It's insane. I can't believe how good they've been this year. But just to give the quick rundown, I have the Seahawks beating the Minnesota Vikings, and my lock is the Bills over the Patriots. Chris has the Bears upsetting the Lions, and the Jets getting a win over the Rams for his lock, and then Danny, who is not here, Texans over Chiefs, and then Rams over Jets. So we will see some conflict over on that end. But that being said, that is everything from us. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us on audio platforms, leave a like, follow the show, download if you really enjoyed it. Chris, anything to say before we get on out of here?
I would say, Asia Wilson signed a 6-year extension with Nike. Very cool. I don't know if y'all seen the like pictures, but she had a private with her
with her
emblem
logo on it, dude. That was badass.
Elite.
She's awesome.
That was elite, bro.
But wait. Give everybody a shoe deal. Give everybody a private jet so nobody feels bad, so no feelings are hurt.
Bro, I think that's the funniest thing right now, bro. That is the funniest shit, right?
Because Caitlin Clark got her number retired. She's getting her number retired at Iowa.
I mean,
shit.
Yeah.
She needs a statue as well. But they were like, no, retire every jersey number. I'm like, okay, bro, we're starting to get great. But I like that it's not only Caitlin related things. It's more like Caitlin in Asia, because Asia is the best player in the WNBA, and then Caitlin is like the new revolutionary shiny toy, is gonna be one of the all-time greats along with Asia one day. It's just so funny. But those two, these are where all the jokes are coming from.
And it's so hilarious, bro. And I think, the second thing I want to say, shout out to the NBA for one time. The Christmas commercial, bro, the Christmas gym commercial, like, it's different players, yes. But if you go back and look at the old commercial and look at the new one, the NBA did a really cool job with how they redid it. So if you pay attention to it, and this is one of my favorite commercials, so I know at the back of my hand. In this commercial, Wemby's the one who says, do you have it? Y'all got that on camera, right? He's the one who says the LeBron line. They have Kevin Durant throwing an alley-oop to Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, Kevin Durant favorite player. KD ooping the ant. Beautiful. You got JT as like a mainstay in there. I really like the way they did it. I think it's like a cool nod to the old one, and also big up in the new era of basketball.
In the old one, I'm forgetting who says "Tune it up, KD."
Is it Derrick Rose?
And Tatum says it in this one. The only reason I thought of the two, they're just two of the quietest superstars.
That's what I was saying.
They're not loud dudes, so it's just like
dope.
Tatum saying, "Tune it up, KD."
Yeah.
I'm glad he got to do that part. That part's iconic.
Bro, it's so cool, bro. And that's why I say I like how they did it, because it's like they redid it in the coolest way and added some cool like new sprinkles to it. I thought it was dope.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, what, y'all couldn't get everybody, y'all couldn't fly everybody out to just do the commercial again. I'm like, no, we couldn't send Anthony Edwards on a ramp up a skateboard to catch a oop from Kevin Durant, man. No, we couldn't do that. And even if you wanted to just recreate the old one, then you'd be like, oh, nothing's original. Nothing new, yes. Right. So pick your poison, dude. It's just not that deep. It was fun. It's a cool little cartoonish thing.
Probably won't see it again after December 25th. Like, bro, you don't have to even worry about it.
Yeah, like the next time you're gonna see it, it's gonna be like Deuce Tatum and whatever. But
literally,
yeah, can't be mad at. Oh, I don't think we talked about it. Did we talk about Bronny 30 ball at all ever?
No, bro.
We're here, man. We're here.
The
prince has arrived.
The
prince has arrived.
I'm proud of it, because I think Gilbert Arenas said this too. The problem with Bronny is he just wasn't making it like before. All his shots were pro level shots. It was creating space. It was getting to his floaters, getting to spots. It was all of that. It just was not going in. So it was cool to see a game where those shots were actually
the shots were falling. Yeah, I will say Bronny is one of the most creative people. I don't know if creative's the word, one of the best reactionary finishers at the
Yes.
rim. That I think it's just like no matter where he is, he's gonna find a way to get the ball up.
Yep.
That's one thing. And another thing is he love a long mid range shot.
Love it.
One dribble inside the arc. He's chilling with Melo too much.
He loves it, bro. He loves
It's
that. And he loves
crazy.
that
It's such a
running-
nasty. It's a
hand
good
floater.
shot, I guess. Like it's open or whatever. It's just like his first points in the NBA were a long two, heavily contested. I'm like, okay, like where do you even get that from? Your dad would never.
Literally.
Well, he would and could, but where'd you get that from?
First couple years, LeBron, that was his favorite shot. Step in, shoot a
Oh my
21
God.
footer.
That was his
couple
first. That
years.
was his first point.
Whoop, there it is.
One dribble inside the corner. That's your first James points. Not your first James jam though. But
Ooh, coming soon,
Yeah,
hopefully.
nonetheless, from AP New Freezer, culture by Migos. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on Monday for the recap.